I see you're doing different projects like the Divine, and you're doing all these live things. You're singing in churches. Can you talk
Yeah,
about that and like what's a day to day like for you? I assume it's all over the place, right? So much
absolutely.
happening.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I still have my everyday job. So I'm doing everything around my, my day to day in, creative and producing and all of that. But I would say to answer your question about all of my most current projects and everything, like The Divine, that was my first project that I produced singularly.
Hmm.
Outside, I wasn't an associate producer on it. I creatively developed it. It was my idea. And so what I did is I partnered with students from Biola University and some alumni from the University of Memphis and Cal State Northridge. And we got together and we did something that's kind of like a tribute to the hit 90s TV show Touched by an Angel. And yeah, so we just wanted to represent it from like a millennial standpoint and a Gen Z standpoint. And I would tell you why Touched by an Angel is because Touched by an Angel, it just helped me get closer to God. It helped me get rooted in my faith. It helped me get closer to, my loved ones, my family and friends. And you would watch the show and you would leave completely inspired. And so I was just thinking, like back in 2018, I was like, man, like what would it look like to recreate this show and then do it in a way where it's entertaining to the millennial generation and Gen Z and like, just more generations to come. And so we were successful 2 years ago filming our proof of concept, our idea. And it was my first official Kickstarter as the head executive producer of it. So I raised all the funding and was telling people like, hey, like this is what we're going to do. This is the project I believe in. And, things just kind of came together as you're putting one step of faith in front of the other and telling people about what you're working on. I got the director, I got all the different people involved, and we successfully shot it. We went through like an editing phase, and then we were calling it Touched by an Angel, but legally and just all the different things that are involved with all of that, because you would want it someday to get picked up or something like that. But if we were at our truest intention was to just capture the hearts of the original creators and just let them know that, wow, you guys really, really inspired us, and that we are not a lost generation when it comes to, content that is faith based, but then also rich content that challenges you and has you thinking. Like, that challenges you, stories that are being told that really, really hit home and inspire you to want to live your best life. And so that was our original intention. Eventually, Ezra, we got the attention of the original creators of the show, and they gave us their blessing, and so we've had two successful screenings this past month, and we've just been sharing it and been sharing it. And our hope and our goal is that, from a team perspective, is that it does get picked up. And if it doesn't get picked up, our show idea, then maybe it'll be a feature, but it's great, and it's going to go in the pipeline. It was also my first production under my production company. So I have two other films that are now in pre-production, and we'll start working on those next year. But this was a great start, and so I'm really excited about the traction and just the response that we're getting.
Well, first off, congratulations for running
Thank
your
you.
first event. That's amazing.
Thank
Yeah,
you so much.
that's
Thank you.
so cool. And what exactly is that like? I mean, you touched on it, but I'm kind of curious. I assume there's so many moving parts. Like you're saying, you have directors, you have different people creating, editing, being in it. Like, how do you manage that? What's behind developing the concepts and the creatives? I feel like there's just so much involved in a project like that, right?
Yeah, I feel like projects alone, bro, are just super, super complex. And the more skilled your team is, you can have a small team and they be all super skilled. But I would recommend if you're going to do some sort of short film campaign or just anything, like you've got to have a skilled team and you need to make sure all bases are covered. And I think from that experience, what I learned is how important it is to delegate, how important it is to really have people in their positions, like their lane. I think with the whole touch, with the Divine. Obviously, I was the head executive producer and I did develop all the teams, but we got in a pickle twice with the editing process. Like our editor was also our director, but he was also in another city and state. He was back home in Tennessee. And so, he and his wife, who also wrote on the project with me, she co-wrote on the project, it was the two of us, they were in transition, moving to Nashville, like all these different pieces. And so, just staying on top of the timeline to get things done. And, there were times where I had to touch the editing. And then we had two associate producers and they helped with the editing because we had to FaceTime in the director. And it was pretty chaotic. And so if I would do it all over again, I would make sure there is some firmness around who's going to take on this project and are you in position to do so. So there was that piece, and then also we ran into some complexities around our visual effects. I don't know. Have you seen the trailer?
I saw the trailer.
Okay, yeah. So the trailer is out. It's amazing. But man, like the VFX, bro. We originally, like our VFX person, they ran off with our money. It was really,
Wow.
yeah. It was really terrible. The original VFX person that we brought on at the beginning of the project, and it was very, very disheartening because you're trusting people in this process. You're like, and you're trusting, and for me it was my baby, so I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm trusting you with this, and now you've run off. We can't reach you. It was pretty intense, and you definitely had to keep the faith through the project. But then I felt like another light just kind of like went off. There was another guy that I did a voiceover for. Shout out to Chris Castor out of Oklahoma who did our VFX. He loved the idea of the project and he was like, I'll take a look at it and see, what I can do. And he does professional VFX for some of your favorite faith-based films. And so he's amazing. And he took a leap at it and knocked it out of the park, saved our butts. No, like he did, so for lack of better words. But yeah, man. But yeah, so it's no joke. But at the end of the day, when I'm on set and when I'm working on these different projects, like I want to work on projects that 100% like I believe in, that I feel like are gonna make an impact in some sort of way. And then also, I know I'm talking heavy on inspiration and heavy on like impact and things like that, and that is very true. That 100% resonates with me. But at the same time, I also believe that it's okay to do projects that push you closer to your goal and evolve your resume. So a lot of things on my resume I've done not because they were faith centered at all. Like I had to use faith to get there, but they may not have anything to do with, worship leading or anything like that. They may just me doing that gives me the qualifications to do what I really want to do in the future. And one day I'm going to host the Emmys. Like one day I'm going to I have dreams and visions of me doing some other great work. And I needed to be in this space to operate in this other space.